let's start off on the dollar index. Well, first off, I guess we can go over the fact that the government shutdown is still in full effect. So we're still not seeing any news folders. Yeah, then let's look at dollar on the weekly chart. What did we do looking at the weekly chart this week? Well, firstly, we had an inside week, right? We didn't take the low or the high of the previous week. And secondly, we retraced down into this weekly order block, and then we kind of bounced back higher from it. Overall, still closing the week bearish though. Moving to the daily chart, yeah, we can see that we open on Monday, we kind of consolidate. On Tuesday, we push up and we take Friday's high out, trade into CE of this wick that makes the daily swing high up here. And then from there, we reject lower, displacing Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday lower, right? We inverse these bullish fair value gaps right here. And then on Friday, we end up kind of finding some support in the gradients here of this wick, right? We wick down into this fair value gap here as well, right? This discount FVG down here. And then from there, we get a nice retracement back into that displacement that we had. All the while we are forming two bearish fair value gaps right here. So yeah, that's what dollar did. Moving on to the majors, right? Obviously pretty in sync with that. Euro also inside week and retrace into the up close candle from like 2 weeks ago. And then GU, same thing, except GU did not have an inside week. We actually have SMT between EU and GU, where GU went below previous week low. And then looking at this on the daily for both, we can see that, yeah, we got some daily displacement on both GU and on EU. Now on EU, we did not actually retrace back to that daily gap yet. On GU, we actually did on Friday, right? We have just that bare bones tap of that, and then we kind of got some bullish price action away from that daily gap, but no setup in here, right? But that's fine. And then once again, like I noted, we have like that daily SMT on the lows, which Euro almost took the low, right? But like if I drag that line straight so that we can actually see, yeah, you can see that it didn't quite reach it. So there is SMT there. Anyway, that's what EU and GU did this week. Kind of goes against what I was like looking for, right? I was expecting just the bearish continuation, right? Sticking to that bearish idea. Yeah, I mean, that's obviously not what you want to see if you're strictly bearish. I mean, a retrace is fine, but the fact that the retrace is like coming off daily SMT with daily displacement higher as well, obviously not what you'd want to see. So yeah, I mean, I might have to rethink that, but that's something for the outlook, not for the recap. So let's move on here to the indices. Let me get rid of this real quick. Indices this week were pretty mid, to be fair. Following that huge drop on Friday, right, we can look at the weekly chart. We gapped up higher and then had a bullish weekly candle, right, now both on ES and in Q. We did end up forming those daily gaps around Friday's displacement. Order block here that I just kind of marked out there. Yeah, so Monday we got that day that ended up forming the gap, right? A nice retracement after the gap higher even. So like Monday, from where we closed, Monday actually pushed higher like 775 points. So that's actually kind of crazy. Then on Tuesday we wicked into the gap and we sold off. Then finding some support down in here, and then running back up into the gap, making another higher high in the gap, coming back down on Thursday after making another higher high, and then on Friday we continued lower, eventually purging this Tuesday's daily swing low, and then we reacted back up from there. So essentially, like, if we're looking at just the bodies, right, bar Monday, like, this is like a consolidation range on both NQ and ES. Yeah, so hopping into the hourly chart, initially this was in Asia. We purged into the daily gap and we sold off, right? This was on Tuesday. Now the issue here for like a trade was that there was no SMT whatsoever, not with YM, not with the ES, not with NQ, nothing. No SMT on the daily or on the hourly. So that wouldn't be a trade setup. And then the only possible time where we could have potentially seen a setup from this daily gap was here, where NQ comes up, it makes a higher high on Thursday and then sells off, and ES makes a lower high. Now issue here is there's no order block, right? Like, if you're gonna be exact, this is the order block, but obviously that never gets filled, and also from the perspective of 2R cancels the limit order, that would have been canceled pretty quickly. But I wouldn't even think about taking an order block like this, right? Like, that's not really a order block in my opinion. It's like, yeah, sure, theoretically it is, but it's not like a high probability one at least. So yeah, that was kind of NQ and ES this week. Pretty clean price action overall, but just like not much going on trade wise. And by clean, I mean like there were like pretty clean moves, just back and forth. But overall, like, yeah, you could, oh, that's not what I meant to do. You could clearly say that we were in like a range. But like I said, the range was big. So like there were big moves back and forth, but overall, pretty undecided, right, on what price wants to do. Like, price itself is pretty undecided on what it wants to do here. But yeah, so no trades on there. And then we move on to the metals, which is gold and silver. And we were long from here, right, from this daily gap on the hourly chart, expecting Monday to instantly just push to TP, which it did, right? We've had like, I don't know, like five or six weeks in a row where Monday just makes low of week on gold. So that seems to be a pretty reliable source of things. And if I'm going to be honest, I think Monday's going to make another low of the week. I think we're just going to rip on Monday on gold. So what did we do gold this week after Monday? Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday continued completely ripping, and then Friday we had a big retracement wicking down into this daily gap that we had formed. And on silver, you know, slightly less displacement, like still considerably bullish price action, but just less displacey. And then on that retrace, we actually got below Wednesday's daily low, while gold only got below Thursday's, right? So SMT on the daily chart. And then if we open the hourly chart right quick, just to see where we were at on there, we can see that we wick that daily gap. Here's the daily SMT I've marked out, and then we wick down into it and kind of instantly get a nice reaction away from it. Now, like I said, and this is outlooky, I think Monday's just gonna like blast the highs, right? And that's kind of unfortunate because this is not a setup yet. And I would love to get involved, but I think Monday is just gonna, you know, like, I'm gonna wake up Monday morning, we're gonna be like here, and then London's gonna do that. But, you know, that's just how it's gonna have to be if it's gonna be like that. But yeah, overall, gold, very bullish. We got our retrace at the end of the week. We tend to have a few retraces, or like one retrace every week in gold, so we did get that. And from here, we can look for a continuation rate, because there's like zero reason in gold to say like, all right, this might be the top. And I mean, it might be, but there's no reason to expect that. Anyway, yeah, that's the recap. Yeah, no trades taken last week, or like this week. We had the one trade running from last week that hit TP on Monday of this week, but no new trades were opened because majors did not provide, indices did not provide, and gold only retraced on Friday, and then did not provide an entry either in those last few hours on Friday after hitting the gap. So Yeah.